First, I just want to thank the EVkids organization and the Thompson family for inviting me to be here with you guys tonight and to talk about something that's so important to so many of us in the room, but is very near and dear to my heart. A little bit of background info. I am a second-generation EVkid. My father was among the first of campers who went to Vermont and to LaToya's point. I'm now an EVkid's mom. My son is, I don't know how many third-generation families there are, but he's very proud to be a third-generation EVkid. I started my EV journey as a young teenager. My parents had just separated. We were kicked out of our family home. I was experiencing poverty, and I started first with camp. So I went for my first session at camp as a 13-year-old who was angry at everything and anything. I was removed from my home during summer vacation, and I was dropped in the middle of Vermont, where I had no access to electronics, my friends, and we were going to be hiking, acting out Bible verses, and I shared a room with 6 other girls. What could go wrong, right? I was not a happy camper. And I constantly tried to recreate the chaos that I myself was used to. If you've been to EV camp, you know that it's really hard to misbehave at EV camp, but I found a way. I refused to make bracelets at bracelet making time. I would not swim. And for all the times that I tried to misbehave and act out, one of the things that sticks out to me the most is Mary Claude's unwavering support to me. No matter what I did, I never got her angry, and it made me so angry. If you've been involved with EV as long as I have, you probably don't remember when Mary Claude didn't have white hair, but I promise you it got whiter that summer. What I did in that summer and the experience that I had really set a big change in my life going forward. I started with tutoring the year afterwards, and EVkids was consistently the only reliable source of any kind of consistency that I had in my life at that time. I showed up every Thursday from 4 to 6 for tutoring. At this point, I'd left my parents' home. I was living with an aunt who herself was an EVkid, and the only rule that I had in that house was to make sure that I showed up for tutoring, so I did. And I know Lauren's here tonight. We talked about this a little bit earlier. My memory of Lauren is her being so tiny behind a minivan with this ragtag group of kids. I mean, she picked me up consistently from home and brought me to EV tutoring. It was like a job to me, and it was a job that I enjoyed. LaToya brought up, too, about how we were driven back and forth to testing. When I couldn't afford a bus, Lauren was there at 7 o'clock in the morning to take me to Catholic school exams. Somebody from the EVkids organization would sit outside and wait for me to finish my test, asked about it at the end of the day. My tutor, who was a freshman at Harvard when I met her, was aghast that I didn't know what SATs were. So she practiced SATs with me so much. And in fact, I ended up getting the highest SAT score out of anybody in my graduating class. Yeah. It was the EVkid organization that made sure that I was applying to colleges, made sure that I was applying to colleges that I didn't think I could get into. I got into a couple of them. It was the EVkids organization that worked hands in hands with my college guidance counselor. Neither of my parents made it to my high school graduation, but Mary Claude was there. And she hosted us at her house afterwards for a reception where my sister said she had the best potatoes that she's ever had in her life. EVkids didn't just help me find a flame within me and light this flame, but maintain that flame. I'm 35 now, you'd never guess, but When I get promotions and I post about them on Facebook, Brian and Eric are among the first people to congratulate me. This is something that I've been doing my whole life, and this is something that I will do my whole life. Now I'm an EV parent, which is so weird for me to say. My son is 15. He just finished his second year in camp, his third year in tutoring. And when I first mentioned that he was going to be going to tutoring, he who is so different from me, he's quiet, he's pensive, he has a photographic memory about anything science and map related. He reminded me, well, I'm a genius. I don't need to go to tutoring. And maybe support for my son looks a little bit different. Maybe my son doesn't need to be driven back and forth to these tests. Maybe he has the money for bus trips. But if something's good, does that not mean that we should make it a little bit better? With his tutor's guidance, my son's AP bio grade has gone from a C+ to an A+. The best homework that he passes in is the day after his tutoring session because his name is written on it, punctuation is right, everything is thought out, he shows his work, and that's all with the help of his tutor. So not every EV kid has a sad story. Not every EV kid has a happy story, but we all have a journey that begins with EV kids at a young age, and I can honestly say, from my own experience, from my father's experience, my aunt's experience, my son's experience, it lasts a lifetime. And for me, my aunt, Latoya, people who show up consistently to serve for this organization that continues to serve for us today, that is a small price to pay for the endless support that we get from this organization. You know, when you make donations, and tonight I just want to say how much I appreciate all of your bids on the silent auction. Sometimes you hear Sarah McLaughlin singing in the back of an animal control commercial that your donation will feed a dog for a year, or maybe that you've clothed a child in a third world country for 6 months. But when you bid tonight, your donation to EVkids lasts a lifetime, and I'm a testament of that. Thank you so much for every contribution that you've made. I promise no amount is insignificant. My son will be up here in 20 years telling the same story, I'm sure. And thank you. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I promise that you've made a difference today.